Welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Circle, the leading employee benefits and engagement platform.
Hi everyone, this is Rohit from Vantage HR Influencers Podcast, and today I'm excited to have Amit Sharma, who's a HR professional with 20 years of experience in various HR roles and majorly in leadership positions. He's currently working as Vice President HR of Volvo Group India. Prior to this, he was in leadership roles at TA Connectivity, global HR leadership roles for Philips Health Systems and Johnson & Johnson Medical, and a lot of other special roles in other companies. Amit is an alumni of UBS Business School and has done his engineering from Thapar University. Welcome to the show, Amit.
Thank you, Rohit, and thanks for having me here.
Also, so, how did you get into the role of HR and what got you excited into human resources?
That's an interesting question, Rohit. And if you really ask me, one of the things which I've always liked is how do you shape an organization strategy through people? Right. That is something which was always very exciting to me. And one of the subjects in my B school, which still is my favorite, was organizational behavior. So understanding organizational behavior, and how do we really apply those principles in organization to get the best out of people, to make them go beyond their potential, to make them achieve more, and in the sense help organizations grow. I think that really excited me when the decision was made to choose a specialization, and those were the factors I thought, let me take it up as an HR because it's a really fulfilling profession. Seeing people achieve what they can achieve and helping them do that, I would say this is a very, very noble profession as such.
Right. And, you've been with Volvo Group and, especially during the stressful times of COVID, how do you value and even before that, how did you value and recognize employees in a company as big as Volvo?
So Volvo is a company which has very strong employee orientation. As an organization, we have 5 values, which we say as a bedrock of our organization. It's about customer success, trust, passion, change, and performance. Right. And this is what kind of binds everybody together. So whatever we are doing, we look at it from this lens, and all of it, if you look at it, focuses around how we treat our employees. How do we really understand our customers? How do we build trust and transparency amongst the employees? How do we really able to generate passion in the employees? How do we really help them undergo change? And how do we really help them, create or deliver better performance? So those are the fundamental threads for us. Amongst our 3 global aspirations, one of them is to be the most admired employer in our industry. Right. This is one of our, on the 3 aspirations, this is the second one. First one is about customer, and last one is about financial. So for us, this aspiration comes even before the financial piece. That how do we really make ourselves as a great place, which employees would love to work in. So that's something which defines our organization as such. And we really value their time. We really value their commitment to the organization, and we also value the fact that people are, they have their lives beyond work also. So as an organization, we are very, very mindful of work-life balance. We are very mindful of the mental health of people, apart from looking at, just the delivery, which most of the organizations would generally focus on. So those are some of the key elements, Rohit, which are really, really unique, I would say, as far as Volvo is concerned. And this is something which really helps us all come together and make us a really, proud to work in a company like Volvo. You'll be, surprised to see that most of our leadership team members, we have about 17 people in the country leadership team. Right. And I can tell you, most of them are homegrown. Most of them have grown internally with the organization. These people have really long tenures in Volvo. I have not seen it much. I have worked across 4 different multinationals in my career. Right. And the kind of commitment and sense of pride which I see which employees have in Volvo And this is because of the fact that how Volvo treats them. Um, that's the key differentiator.
Correct. And what is Volvo doing to engage with the stakeholders, especially customers and employees, especially since the lockdown happened during mid March, and I assume that the manufacturing would have totally stopped then. How was the communication happening between the important stakeholders from your side?
So when this entire crisis struck us somewhere in mid March,
Right.
and to be honest with you, like everybody else, everybody was surprised with the magnitude of this pandemic and how it really unfolded in front of
Correct.
us. Uh, we started looking at what we need to do. How do we really engage with our stakeholders? What do we really need to focus on? And we came up with four priorities globally, and India we said six priorities. So globally, our CEO said we need to focus on number one, our colleagues. And that again comes back to what I was saying earlier. So we didn't say number one is customer. We say number one is colleagues in this particular time period when we were all when we are all in this zone of pandemic. So
Right.
number one is colleagues, number two customers, number three cash, and number four cost. Those are the four elements, four broad principles or four priority areas which our global CEO told us that now the entire efforts for us would be focusing around how do we really help our colleagues stay safe, how do we really help our colleagues deliver at the same time not get infected. Then how do we really deal with our customers, and how do we really continue to meet our customer demands and customer needs.
Right.
How do we really manage cash as such? Because cash suddenly became a premium because the inflows were not there, and the outflow continues with the salaries and all other costs as much there. And the fourth piece was around the how do we really further reduce our costs if the revenues are drying up. In
Right.
India, what we said is we also have we'll look at two more C's apart from these four C's. First one was we said apart from these is community. Now, as a responsible organization, the community is equally important stakeholder for us. And how do we really support the community in this hour of crisis? Also tells about what an organization believes in. And we said we would go out and help our migrants who are there, who don't have food, who don't have shelter, and provide them with food, provide them with whatever support we can do. And we also went ahead and started supporting all the COVID warriors, as we are calling them now. So all the people who are on the forefront, whether it was doctors, it was police, it was other workers who were in the forefront of dealing with this pandemic from the government side and from the NGO side. So we said we would also support them. So we have really done a lot of measures around that. And the second piece was communication. That during these times of crisis, how we communicate makes a big difference. People are really scared. People with all the gloomy news coming from outside, on one hand, the COVID cases are rising. On the other hand, we see, some companies announcing the job cuts, the layoffs, or salary cuts. All of that stuff is everywhere there. People were scared about whether the jobs will remain, not remain, since the work is not happening. And we said we will continue to communicate and give a comfort to our employees about the fact that we are solidly behind them around it. So those were the key areas we said we'll focus on. Apart from that, then we when we started synthesizing these areas further down, what does it really mean to us? What does it really mean to our colleagues if I were to look at it? We re-looked at our complement practices. Suddenly people are working from home, and they need internet connectivity at home. They need, in a power cut scenario, a UPS connectivity at home. Then how do you really re-look at some of our benefits framework where we can provide for, those necessities which people have? Very important piece is how do we really ensure employees remain effective
Right.
as such? So effectiveness becomes a key factor. So ensuring they have the right IT tools at their home. We transported everything to their homes wherever people didn't have laptops. We ensured that we send them communication around how to do work from home. How do they really can manage the work life and home life together when they're working from home? Some of the tips which will help get them help become more effective. Then manager effectiveness. We said we created a toolkit, a manager toolkit, where what we said was, how as a manager would now need to deal with team members.
Right.
This is not something. This was something very new for them. They're not. We are not used to remote working much as a manufacturing organization. Though there are people who work remotely, we had work from home policy, but such a large 2 months of work from home, and our managers themselves are not equipped for that. So how do you really engage them? How do you really have conversations? Calling people and just talking about general what is happening in their lives rather than always talking about work.
Right.
Whenever we starting off a meeting, we ask managers, first question you should ask is, how are you feeling as of now?
Right.
Is there something bothering you? No, it's a very critical question because we tend to somewhere suppress our feelings.
Right.
And during these times when the fear is pretty high, the emotions are always very heightened. So how do you really deal with that? So we gave all those, we created a playbook and shared these aspects with the managers and helped them, through this journey. Then we also started looking at it from a team effectiveness. When we say, how do really team comes together? Because ultimately, certainly people are detached from their larger teams. The socialization which used to happen in office, the socialization over a cup of coffee or a tea, or let's say, over lunch, suddenly nothing is happening. Those conversations are not happening. So what we did was we arranged some virtual, fun sessions, virtual coffee sessions where everybody is having a cup of coffee in their hands and connecting over a video platform. We use Skype for Business or Microsoft Teams. So start everybody coming on that, and just talking, chit chatting, and not talking about work, but talking about everything else which is happening in their lives. So those are the things for what we did, for them. Then about employee health and well-being, in terms of support from doctors if somebody is facing any kind of a mental health issue due to this lockdown and staying at home. That became also a very critical aspect which we focused on, so that nobody feels socially isolated. Nobody feels that, hey, I am all stuck up inside the house and I can't step out. It takes its toll on people. So we were equally mindful of employees' mental health. And the last piece, which I would say is, what we did was a focus on competency boost. We said it's also important that when the specific workload is less, let's utilize this time, to help people build new skills and build new competencies. So we looked at some of the competency boost projects and we rolled it out, during these times. So those are some of the areas I would say we focused on, when it came to our employees as such.
Right. I mean, what I can see is a lot of things that happened at Volvo, and a lot of very, very thoughtful and insightful things were done by your company. And I really liked how you brought in community as one of the core values, and you held out the COVID warriors and the migrant workers, and how the communication happened between the employees, and the effectiveness had grown up. But is it possible to refine company values and do quick decisions during a crisis, or it's something which has to be imbibed in a company's culture?
So these things which are there in the company culture. I would say that culture doesn't suddenly change, and it has a lot of inertia.
Right.
So a company will be able to do all these things only when there's enough momentum which is carrying on, since past.
Right.
Otherwise, suddenly things will not happen. And I was speaking to my MD some time back, and he made an interesting statement. He said, "Crisis reveals the true leader, who's a true leader and who is not." So these things are something which is, which can kind of get highlighted during a bad time, because in good times everybody does everything, because these are happy times, and there's no issues everywhere. Money is coming in, revenues are enough there, people are there, everybody's engaged, motivated. So it just goes with the flow. The tailwind is pretty high. But when the headwinds are there, if you're able to sustain that, that really shows the power of the culture which an organization has and the values which organization really holds true to, and it can't really change, when there's a crisis or not there's a crisis. These are fundamental things which an organization believes in and will continue to believe in if they really value them.
You also talked about team effectiveness and how you've done very interesting things to get more socialization among the team members, and also made sure the employee well-being had been there. But do you think the engagement numbers and the productivity levels have increased for a company like Volvo, especially with a large portion of the workforce would be working in a manufacturing unit, but any thoughts on how to increase team effectiveness in such situations?
See, productivity is something which we are still trying to figure it out in terms of whether it has increased or it's the same.
Right.
As much as possible, we have all the preliminary data shows that there is no dip in the productivity of people,
Right.
because people were fully engaged working from home, and we have not seen anybody taking the advantage out of this situation and trying to shirk work. At least none of that has come to our knowledge, and everybody has been very, very focused. The sense of pride which people have in Volvo, I can tell you, in all our engagement score, the pride is the highest. So that I think helps people to kind of continue to focus on output, productivity, and what the company wants them to deliver. So on that side, it was pretty much comfortable, I would say. On that. On team effectiveness, we are a very diversified company in India in terms of the kind of work we do. So we have three manufacturing plants. We also have a large global IT center, almost about 1,000 people, more than 1,000 people. We have a large global technology center, which is again having almost 1,000 people. And then we have some of the back offices of global of organization. The global purchasing is being done from here. Some of the work for our accounting services is done from here. So the dynamics are very different across all these things. And apart from that, you have the sales and the supply chain organization, which are part of the traditional brick and mortar structure of ours. So for each of them, the things were different. Manufacturing guys, can they work from home? The answer is no. You have to come to the factory to produce a truck or a bus or a engine or a construction equipment. But whether a technology guy can work from home, yes, he can work from home. Whether IT guy can work from home, yes, that person can work from home. So we had very different dynamics across different things. So some of the areas where the people were able to work from home, there the engagement was a twofold. One was more a work engagement, because anyways the deliverables are there, the manager calls are happening, the discussions are happening, and the teaming is happening. People are coming together because of work.
Right.
And then we were also parallelly doing a lot of, as I said earlier, uh, general virtual hangout sessions as such. We had, you know, a session 1 week where we just had everybody showcasing their talent on our internal Yammer group or WhatsApp groups as such. Whatever talent they had, creating a small video and putting it up there. Or one day we said, let's all share our throwback pics, school picks, the college picks, the early career picks, and suddenly there was enough high level of engagement around it. Someday we said, okay, let's talk about what has been the most defining moments of our life, and people are again talking about it. So we also kind of did that. So, but twofold things were happening parallelly for the people who could work from home. The work engagement is happening on team, and there is also enough socialization is happening. Now, teams which can't work from home, like manufacturing and all, there we focus on the second piece more, so that camaraderie continues to remain there. The connect continues to remain there, because that's very critical, because those people were feeling a bit isolated from rest of the organization. Focus for them, there's not much work. What will a production supervisor do sitting at home? Because he has to go to the plant to do some things as such.
Right.
So there we really focused on the second aspect of, a virtual, we call it fika session. So fika is a Swedish word for a short coffee party or a tea party. So we said, let's do virtual fika, virtual socializing, virtual celebrations, and all of that, to ensure that the team effectiveness, the team bonding continues as such.
Correct. And as you mentioned, you're a manufacturing company which manufactures buses, engines, and trucks. What processes is Volvo using to ensure there's safety procedures for the employees who want to come back into the company? And do you have any checklist for onboarding of these employees, or even new employees who's supposed to join the company?
So we have had a very intensive protocol around infection prevention and keeping our offices safe as
Right.
such. We did that. There was a complete fumigation, sanitization of all our offices and factories during this period. Our real estate teams did a fantastic job around that. We marked places for social distancing in the lifts. All the lifts are marked not more than 4 people. And the entry before somebody enters the office, there was thermal scanning, there's temperature checking, there is a declaration taken for any symptoms as such. We also created a checklist around employees. If somebody has traveled or somebody had any kind of showing symptoms or has met somebody who is having symptoms or just been to some public place, we said, we'll give you quarantine leave for 14 days. Stay back home. Don't worry about office. Don't worry about coming to office.
Right.
In offices, we've had sanitizers everywhere as such. Uh, you know, in the cafeteria, we made a zigzag seating, so no two people can be facing each other, and no people and the side seats will remain vacant. We kind of mark those areas on the tables where people can't sit, so that there is enough social distancing which is maintained around it. Similarly, we disabled our access controls and kept the doors open so that people are not touching those handlebars
Right.
as such. But apart from that, every hour there was a cleaning, disinfection done to continue to make it safe. For our transportation, we made it's 2x2 seating. So again, there's a zigzag seating which is there, so people the right seat or the left seat for you is always vacant. And so that meant to us increased transportation cost, by the way, but we said we need to take that for the safety of our employees and safety and well-being of all our colleagues who are coming in our office transport and who need to come to office as such for the work. So those are the measures which we have taken. A lot of such infection prevention measures, as much as possible, we are ensuring contactless. Even sanitizer dispensation, we have made contactless. The foot pedal through which a sanitizer gets dispensed, so that people are not even touching them. Providing masks to all our people who are entering the facility. So yeah, so all of that, whatever is possible, I think we have done to ensure that people remain safe. And some people who have been coming to office really feel that say that the moment they enter the office premises, they really feel they're in a completely safe and comfortable environment, and they don't fear as such. And their families are also telling us that they don't fear their spouses or father, mother going to the office. We have been maintaining that we should be minimum people should be coming to office. We have declared a work from home till 31st of May, but those people who still need to come, all the precautions we have taken everywhere to ensure that the area remains absolutely safe.
Correct. And we all understand, there are a lot of upsides to remote work. There's not much of travel involved. You can spend more time with your family. But are there any downsides to remote working? And do you think, this is a remote work culture is something which will be there for the long term, not only for tech companies, but for other companies as well, like Volvo?
Downsides, yes, though there are upsides, whether we about less commuting time, especially city like Bangalore, where you save almost 3 hours of your travel time. It's a big upside, to an employee.
Correct.
A work-life balance a person gets, you can deal with your home requirements or household requirements at the same time as you are working for your office. So that helps. Company, it saves real estate cost, if you really ask me. But if you look at downside, specifically to your question,
Right.
I think if not handled well, team effectiveness takes a dip. And that's why organizations have to focus more on ensuring team effectiveness is there. And I explained to you what we have done, and I'm sure all good organizations are trying in their own ways about how to continue to ensure team effectiveness. Second piece is about individual socialization. Now,
Right.
human beings by nature are social people, and we need to interact. Those small break sessions which we all have in offices, they have a lot of value. Those quick coffee sessions or quick fun sessions. We talk about someone, we kind of laugh at somebody's expense, you pull somebody's leg, or you crack a joke. All of that, helps us, de-stress ourselves, helps us connect with each other better, and helps us for our social needs. And suddenly, you don't have anybody around you to do all of that stuff. So that becomes a big drawback, and companies need to find out ways and means that would ensure employees are socializing on this environment, which otherwise, from a work from home perspective, comes, takes a dip. The other piece which takes a dip is also the connect with the larger organization. See, when I'm in office, I see so many things happening around me.
Right.
I feel that I am part of a larger puzzle. There's a big thing which is there, and I'm also part of it, and I'm also contributing in some way because I can see it in front of my eyes. Whatever I'm doing is coming to a certain output. Uh, when you're sitting at home, you only know the bit which you have done. After that, there is, you just don't have visibility because you don't see them, because you're not in your office or you're not in your factory as such. So that becomes a very critical factor, that how do you really make a person feel that he's part of a larger ecosystem, and he's not something which is just of just a small cog in the wheel. You should be able to see the full wheel in its totality. So those are the things. And then it's also about cultural aspects. We in India, our Asian cultures are also high touch cultures.
Correct.
So in our culture, we want to kind of meet people more. We want to, we do like face to face interaction. Suddenly, those things are not there. So
Right.
sometimes it impacts people's mental health as such.
Right.
So again, those areas need to be taken care of. In a remote working scenario as such.
Right. And during the conversation, you talked about WhatsApp, Yammer. Now, are there any tools which you would recommend to leaders for smooth communication for a remote type work?
So I think, see, all tools are equally good. It all depends on how effectively a leader uses them.
Right.
Whether even a WhatsApp is a great tool if you want to have a group calls, you want to have video calls, people can be there, people can use FaceTimes. People, like our official tools are Microsoft Teams, Yammer, or Skype for business. So they are very much available to do all lots of socializing, uh, talking about what's happening, sharing fun facts. But the key lies in using it. And I have always seen that a leader sets the tone for that.
Right.
How a leader is using those tools sets the tone for the rest of the organization to do it. And in many organizations, leaders have not used that in the initial part of their career. It's a learning for them.
Right.
So it's critical that leaders are, are made to learn the use of technology in a much more effective manner. Thankfully, what has happened is during this COVID lockdown, people were forced to learn. Many
Right.
people who were really against work from home now are actually, I'm seeing, becoming proponents of work from home.
Right.
And this was an interesting discussion we had in our last country management team meeting, where people were very open to work from home now compared to what whenever this topic used to come up earlier. There used to be resistance from some of them. So that's something which I think the shift is happening. This shift has got accelerated because of COVID. But coming back to, my final point would be on this question is, it's not about tools. It's about using those tools effectively.
Right.
Every tool is great. It's all about how well somebody is able to use it.
Right. Interesting. And is your company using some sort of a tool for rewarding or recognizing employees? Since Vantage Circle is a reward and recognition platform. So
So we do use, one platform which we have for a long service awards.
right.
And we have a long service award every 5 years. So we create a virtual website, a new website for a person. where everybody is writing, all the fun moments or good moments or memorable moments with those people, with those persons. The man in this, the manager initiates that and sends that link to all the stakeholders. Everybody, writes or uploads pictures or shares what they want to share about it. And then finally on the day the person's fifth year is there, the website is open to him and her, and then he looks at it, and this is like a customized page for him. That has created a good amount of positive energy in the team. People are very excited. That's one area which we use extensively. Apart from that, most of our other recognitions are, I would say, through town halls or through the team meetings or annual meetings which we have, or annual kickoffs which we have. Not much of technology there except for these areas. But we are looking at it, how we can actually use technology for our larger reward and recognition practice as such.
Correct. So, Amit, I quickly want to do the top three. What's your favorite business book?
My favorite business book is not called business book or whatever, but it's Who Moved My Cheese. I love that. Very simple, very powerful message about change. Very powerful message about how do you really anticipate change and work towards it rather than letting the change eat you up one fine day and you start starving around it. So it's one of my all-time favorites, as such. And every time I give this, this book to all the people who join in my team, that, look at it, embrace change, anticipate change, rather than waiting for change to hit you hard.
Right. And do you follow any HR leader or CEO?
HR leader, yeah. One of my HR mentors has been Yashwant Mahadik, who's currently the global HR head of Lupin.
Right.
He has been my mentor. I've worked under him in Philips as well as in Johnson and Johnson. Learned a lot from him. I think he's one of the finest HR professionals in the country, who is as much business focused as he's a human being. And this is one quality which I try to imbibe in me from him, that how one can continue to be business focused but with a human touch. How do you always continue to keep your emotional side or your feeling side always alive, and help an employee wait through the tough times if he's in. So yeah, so that's why I really admire him and really follow him.
Right. And do you have any piece of advice for young HR leaders who looking into, build their careers and get into leadership positions in HR?
So I would say that most of the young HR professionals which I see tend to spend a lot of time in front of their laptop rather than going out and spending time with their employees.
Right.
Please, it's a human resource. You need to spend time with people to understand that. And that's something which will really add value to them in the longer run. So my advice to all young professionals is: number one, keep the focus high on human in HR. Don't let technology take away the human touch. Don't just rely on what people are saying on your email. Try to understand the emotion behind it, because that's understanding the person, and that's when you'll really be a much more effective HR person. HR is not about just being at a strategy level and having no connect with the people on the ground. It's very critical that you have connect with the people, otherwise none of the strategy will work. So that, and the second piece which I would say is, there is difference between business partnering and business leader partnering. Partner with the business. Sometimes people tend to be, the yes men or yes women of the business leader. And even if there is a view which you may think is not right for the organization, but people simply say yes because, hey, the business boss is saying, why should I say no to what boss is saying? So don't fall into that trap. Business partnering means doing things what are right for the business. And in that sense, if you think something is not right, but your business leader is saying something, have the courage, discuss with him, tell him, and have a conversation so that at least there'll be clarity. Either he will understand or you will understand his perspective. But don't be a yes man as such, and focus on what your business needs. Those are two things which I would say all HR professionals should focus on.
Very great advice. And what is the best way people can reach out to you and know more about you?
Connect me on my LinkedIn handle, connect me on my Twitter handle. I'm pretty open to accepting requests and also interacting with people there on LinkedIn as well as Twitter. So happy to connect with people over those two platforms and engage with them and share my thoughts and perspectives with them.
Right. Thank you, Amit, for taking our time speaking to us. Really enjoyed getting to understand about what you're doing at Volvo and the employee engagement activity you're doing there.
Thank you, Rohit. It was really my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for new episodes.